Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my college football week number 11 bold predictions, where I make 20 different predictions about what I think is going to happen on Saturday. And we begin with Ohio State possibly dropping an 80 burger on Indiana. Yes, it's going to be so epic, guys. Ohio State totally set up to run up the score on Indiana after the disaster and the wind last week. Much better weather. It should be clear, and they're going to annihilate Indiana at home. They need to score a bunch of points. They're going to score a bunch. And of course, with an 80 burger, you're going to need a few backups, things to happen, maybe a pick six, a scoop and score, something like that. Ohio State is going to have a total offensive explosion on Saturday. Arkansas beats LSU by 3 at home. It just sets up. To me, LSU right now is getting a little bit overrated by people. Their only great win, I guess you could say Ole Miss, but I don't think Ole Miss is that good. Their only great win was at home against Alabama by 1 point. This is a game, it was an emotional game last week for LSU. Now you go on the road in a noon game against an Arkansas team who's decent enough to upset you. I don't love this for LSU. I like Arkansas to win in an upset. LSU still very likely will be headed to the SEC championship game, but if they lose this game, they'd have 3 losses. They would be completely out of the playoff. Notre Dame struggles in a noon sleeper at Navy. Yes, Navy, is a team, they love ball control. They love to run the ball. Notre Dame really can't throw. They've got an extremely average offense and a good defense. I see this game being a surprise early and probably into the fourth quarter. I've got this thing at like maybe 20-17, 20-10. It's going to be lower scoring. I love Navy to cover the 15.5. They covered against Cincinnati last week. It was a lower scoring game. And I actually think this game might be a neutral site game. Just FYI on that. Alabama covers at Ole Miss, scores 40+. It just seems like Alabama is going to come back and really have a response here. Although I will say, this is a unique situation with Alabama having 2 losses already. Could you imagine if they lose again? They would be knocked out of the New Year's Six Bowls. It would be crazy. There's already been murmurs about Nick Saban, having some problems in that locker room. If they lost again to Ole Miss, I don't think it'll happen because I think Ole Miss is at a very easy schedule and they're worse than their record and they're due to lose. But, Ole Miss coming off a bye, we'll see what happens. I do think Alabama wins, but if they lost, the wheels could really start falling off there. Louisville upsets Clemson on the road by 1 point. I believe this is a noon game, the ABC noon game. And guys, it's just not happening this year for Clemson. They're 8-1 because they're in the ACC. The ACC is awful. And Clemson really should have more than 1 losses. Their quarterback situation is a total mess. It's almost like every week we expect Clemson to start DJ Uiagalelei, but then bench him by the third quarter. So it's like, I don't know what is going on with their offense. It's like they need something new. I know some people are blaming Dabo Swinney for not using the transfer portal enough. I don't think that's really the issue. They've recruited well. They should not be this bad. I think the lack of offensive innovation is the issue. And also, DJ Uiagalelei just is not being developed. It's not working. He's a top 10, he was a top 10 prospect in the nation, 5-star quarterback. And he just has not improved much at all. Earlier in the season, he was decent, I guess, but it just feels like Louisville, they've got Malik Cunningham. He makes a few plays left and right. Louisville also with a very good pass rush. They could cause Clemson some major issues, and they get a surprise upset victory. This is really because I don't think Clemson should be 8-1 this year. Maryland at Penn State is a sneaky shootout. Yes, I've just got a vision of this game. I think Penn State scores somewhere in the mid-40s, and I like Maryland to at least get to maybe the upper 20s. Maryland had a very bad game last week in terms of their offense on the road at Wisconsin. That's a very tough place to play. Penn State does have a good, talented secondary, but I could see this game, Penn State possibly jumping out to like a 17-0 lead early in the second quarter, and Maryland kind of playing catch-up, scoring here and there. I believe Penn State is 10-point favorites in this game. They're definitely playing, very well. They had the good performance last week at Indiana where they easily covered. Now they're coming back home. They're very motivated. They know it's 3 games. If you win these games, you're going to be favorites in all of them. You will be guaranteed a New Year's Six bowl. Veteran quarterback in Sean Clifford. I think Penn State gets it done. I like Maryland and Penn State in a 3:30 mid-afternoon game with the sun setting. I like the over in that one. UCF beats Tulane, is a New Year's Six Group of 5 favorite. So yes, if UCF beats Tulane this weekend, they will be the favorite to possibly go to a New Year's Six bowl. Tulane, they're a top 20 team. They have one loss right now, but I like UCF to win this game. I've always liked UCF this year, so it would be kind of dumb and unauthentic of me to go off of them at this point. Washington and Oregon combined for almost 90 points. It feels like a 48-41 type Oregon victory. Both of these teams are really good on offense. Bo Nix playing well. Washington throws it all over the field. They're going to throw for 400 yards. Oregon, we know Washington's not good on defense. Oregon as well. Their defensive metrics are not good. This is going to be a very high-scoring game. The over-under reflects it, but I still think both of these teams possibly get up to around 90 points. I think this is a 4:30 Pacific start time, or like a 4 o'clock Pacific start time. Baylor beats Kansas State at home, finally gets ranked. So Baylor, 2.5-point favorites. I've said they're underrated. They're one of the top 20 teams in college football. This week, they finally are going to get respect if they beat Kansas State at home, which I think they will, and they get ranked. They're on a winning streak. They're on a roll. They're just a good, solid university with good coaching. Army and Troy combined for 36 points. I think this is your typical lower scoring game. Troy is good on defense, not great on offense. Army is a run-first ball control team. Give me the under significantly, the under 45 in that one. Next, we have Wisconsin winning at Iowa. The over hits, but barely. I've got this at like 21-17. Both of these offenses have been trending in the right direction recently. It's an over-under of 36. I think the over hits, I don't have a ton of confidence, but I do have a lot of confidence on Wisconsin winning this game. Under Jim Leonard, they're just a better team. I know Illinois has been scoring more, but I'll take Wisconsin to win this Big Ten West battle. Texas crushes TCU. So going through this week, I had Texas beating TCU 35-34. But guys, based off of how TCU's season has gone, it just feels like they're going to get exposed this week on the road. I don't know. I see a double-digit victory for Texas. I see a lot of people saying TCU plus the 7 is great value, and then Texas crushing TCU. Kind of similar to what happened with Georgia and Tennessee this past week. So, yeah, with TCU, it's just TCU, I think if you look back, I want to say 6 or maybe 7 games TCU has been trailing in the third quarter of them. It is simply not sustainable. Winning like that is not sustainable. They're facing a good Texas team. TCU's due for a loss. Texas is probably better than their record. That all amounts to a Texas blowout victory in my opinion. Auburn beats Texas A&M in a high-scoring, fun game. I love the energy right now within the Auburn program. Under the new interim coach, Cadillac Williams, they're at home. They've been scoring more. A&M's been scoring more, playing their younger guys. Fun game. The over hits. Auburn wins, in my opinion. Tennessee hammers Missouri to keep pace. So Tennessee, they know they need to win these games, and they have to look impressive. They don't want a narrative to come out. Maybe they beat Missouri by 10 points, and the narrative is, oh, Georgia broke Tennessee. Tennessee's not as good. They got to prove it this week. They lost to Georgia. It is what it is. It was a tough road game, but they only have one loss. They've got a really good win against Bama, and you've got to beat the spread against Missouri. You've got to win this game by over 21 points, or at least by 21 points. Be impressive. Don't allow a narrative to develop that you're slowing down or anything like that. And possibly, we know they're not going to make the SEC championship. They're going to need a little bit of help to get into the playoff. We'll see if they get that. CJ Stroud runs up Heisman stats versus Indiana. He certainly needs to. So CJ Stroud's Heisman campaign hit a little speed bump last week. Really not his fault. I mean, you could not throw. It was literally 70-degree wind gusts. It was crazy. But I think Ryan Day, he knows CJ Stroud. It would look so good for Ohio State and for his offense if he finally had a Heisman winner. So he's going to want to run up CJ Stroud's passing touchdowns, especially. I think CJ Stroud could get 6 passing touchdowns at least in this game, because Ryan Day knows when he goes out and he recruits against the Lincoln Riley, he's going to want to say, listen, we have a Heisman quarterback as well. Obviously, Lincoln Riley producing Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray. Jalen Hurts didn't win the Heisman, but Ryan Day knows CJ Stroud, who actually is the favorite now with Hendon Hooker's bad performance. He needs to pad his stats this week and next week. And then, guys, we know the Heisman is going to come down to CJ Stroud against Michigan. If he plays well and Ohio State wins, he'll win the Heisman. If he doesn't, he'll lose the Heisman. That's what it comes down to. Western Kentucky with a 50-burger alert versus Rice. Their offense is humming. They throw the ball all over the field every year. We love their offense. Arizona State's offense gets shut down due to the weather. They're in Washington this week at Washington State. 37 degrees, the game time temperature. Arizona State, they're going to shrivel up. They're not used to it. Take the under 60 in this game due to the weather, guys. Due to the weather. Last week I said, listen, there's a major rainstorm in the Washington game. Take the under. The under hits. Now we've got another weather situation with a team like Arizona State. They're used to 80-degree weather. They're not going to like this. They might only score 10 points, honestly, because of the weather. Jordan Travis continues breakout season at Syracuse. Guys, Jordan Travis is one of the most unique guys. I actually have a screenshot. Jordan Travis is somehow a junior, but he's played 5 years of college football. It's crazy, folks. It is crazy, but he is totally breaking out, and I think it would be great for FSU football if he came back next year and FSU was good again. It'd be great for the ACC. It'd be great for college football if Florida State enter next year as a top 20 team. I think they trounce Syracuse because Syracuse has no offense, and they cover the 6.5-point spread. Cal at Oregon State is a sneaky shootout. So, guys, California, there's a trend. Cal is starting to score more points. They're also allowing more points. Oregon State, yes, they have the quarterback issues, but, it's a game where both of these teams not the best. I think it's a higher scoring game randomly. I'm just getting a vibe of it. I like the over 49. And then how about Southern Miss beating Coastal Carolina without Grayson McCall? Grayson McCall is out, I believe, for the year now. And Southern Miss is just 5-point underdogs in this game on the road. It's tough to predict how Coastal Carolina's backup is going to perform, but Southern Miss is a decent enough team. I could see them winning this game outright due to the quarterback situation. I was actually going to pick Southern Miss to upset Coastal Carolina with Grayson McCall. So now without him, I'm definitely going to pick it. But guys, those are my top 20 bold predictions here for college football week number 11. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.